Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast.
Welcome back to the Ninja Selling Podcast. Matt and Garrett are back again. We're excited to spend more time with you today. As we go through today, if you're wondering, where does all this great information come from? These thoughts, the ideas, the intention behind this whole thing. It's ninjaselling.com is where you want to go to. If you like these ideas, if you like these thoughts, if you like this information, go check out ninjaselling.com. Go check out the installation if you want to learn more. That's a 4-day class. Go get Larry's book. Larry Kendall is the author of Ninja Selling. You can go grab that book and get more information on what you're listening to right now. And if you want to go even deeper dive, go check out either Mastery if you're a Ninja graduate, or go check out coaching. You don't have to be a Ninja graduate. We highly recommend it. But we will help you one-on-one build your business around Ninja, be it real estate, be it insurance, be it whatever you might be doing out there. We can help you with Ninja and help build that business. So with that being said, Matt, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Well, good morning for us.
Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you who are listening, depending on where you are listening.
Yeah.
But good morning to you, Garrett. Happy November, man. Gratitude Month kicks off today. We're recording this on November 1st, so it's a good day. It's a good day.
Oh, it's a great day, great month. This is like one of my favorite times of the year. It didn't used to be. It's funny. I used to always say springtime was my favorite time of the year, and I must be getting older, more mature. I'm feeling that something about the coolness of the air, the smoke from the fires starting up in our the chimney fires and stuff.
It's cozy.
There's something nice about it. I really am enjoying it. So it's a good time of the year.
I get that. Speaking of fires, we got a topic on fires today.
We do. Speaking of fires.
Well, you had mentioned you got the smoke from the fires and all. Anyway.
I knew you caught me off guard. I'm sorry. I'm trying to.
Garrett's like, wait, is there another? I didn't mean to cause any alarm for people on the West Coast there.
It's Southern California. That's when I was like, oh yeah, we're going there. Sorry. Okay. So with Ninja today, and what we're going to talk about is don't let the fire die out. That's actually what we're going to be talking about. And the reason I bring this up is that the real estate market industry right now is really interesting for the general consumers out here. And this is where the topic came from. I was talking with a coaching client, actually multiple coaching clients, and I've been watching this trend where we have people that'll bring up real estate lightly. We'll have some light conversations about it. And the real estate agent, for the most part, is making the decision of they're not really ready yet. They're not really acting like they're ready to do this yet. They need to go get more information. And what's happening out here is we have a lot of confusion around being a homeowner right now, especially a new homeowner or making a move. When it comes to interest rates, when it comes to inventory, when it comes to what are prices doing, when it comes to other major issues in the world, we have a lot of what does this all mean? And what happens is when there's a lot of confusion, it's tough to take action. One of my favorite sayings that Larry taught me many years ago was confused buyers don't buy. And when you watch people that are frozen and not taking action, you can be like, oh, they're just confused is what's happening here, which we have an opportunity. And I don't care if this is real estate or anything, because we're going to go down a handful of different lines today, Matt. When that situation shows up, we can either let them be confused and say, well, they just need to figure that out on their own, or we can be the person that says, I'm going to see if I can help them find clarity. I'm going to ask more questions. I'm going to learn more about the situation that they're currently in and see what's stopping them from creating the life that they want. And can I help guide them through that? And it might be getting new people involved. It might be, researching things that they need to find answers to that sometimes we're like, well, they got to go do that. No, what if we did it for them? And it's an amazing opportunity, Matt. I'm watching business get left behind right now. I'm watching realtors that are going, this is the toughest year I've had, but then they'll tell me a situation like this. And I'm like, why aren't you helping those people? They're confused.
Yeah.
It's an incredible opportunity. And it's the difference, a big chunk of the difference right now, what I'm watching from the people that are making the best year they've ever had in 2023 to the ones that are walking around saying, this is the toughest year I've ever had.
Yeah. Oh, man. I say this all the time we've talked about it a lot too, Garrett, is every year there's going to be a significant portion of people who do not transact in real estate because they do not have a conversation with a trusted advisor that provides them clarity and allows them to give themselves permission to move forward with what they want to do. Right. And because this isn't about getting somebody to buy or sell, right? It's not like, oh, these are people who you can actually get to buy or sell, which puts money in the bank, right? That's not what this is about. This is about providing clarity so people can actually accomplish something they're saying they want to do, right? And I see this happen on two levels too, Garrett. The one is you literally have someone say, I want to do something. I just don't have a clear timeline. I think I want to wait. And the realtor just kind of puts them on the back burner and says, oh, I'm just going to kind of stick them on auto flow and let that be, which there is some nuance behind, okay, how do we slot these people into our database? Obviously, if you don't really like them that much, we're not encouraging you to go and like forge some fake relationship.
That should be at the top of the actual checklist. Like or not like. Ooh, maybe it's a scale of 1 to 10.
Go back to middle school, you put the card in the mail by like, it just has like 2 boxes. Do you like me? Right? So there's that element. And then there is the element of people saying, having a dream of something, right? And the realtor maybe not picking up on that or not keying into it and just allowing that person, as you said, to kind of just like, well, they need to go figure that out before they come to me. It's like, well, this is a tremendous opportunity to educate somebody. So when they are ready, they're like really ready to go. And so like those are 2 big areas. There's a few other things too that I'm sure we'll dive into, but that first one of just like these people have said, I want to do something. And then we just let them flounder on the warm list.
That's where the agent a lot of times I'm talking to says, well, I don't want to seem too pushy. I don't want to seem too aggressive. I don't want to seem too salesy. And it's like they're asking you for help. They're kind of in a camouflaged way saying, I really would like a different scenario in my life. I don't know how to get there, but I know it's something different than what I'm at right now. So Matt, we were chatting before this about my kitchen. I have mentioned my kitchen on the podcast a handful of times. I have lived with my kitchen for 10 years. Matt has changed 2 houses in the time that I have just wanted to remodel my kitchen. So when I look at my kitchen, if any of you walked into it, you would do what my daughter does. And she would be like, how do we live in this kitchen? It is not optimal. It doesn't even have an oven currently.
I was about to say.
Yeah, right now.
There's no oven. Kind of like got a microwave that doesn't fit.
Yeah, we ripped that entire cabinet out.
Yeah.
I've ripped a cabinet out and a wall out as we continue along our process with this kitchen. But here's the interesting thing. I have reached out to builders and remodelers and said, hey, I want to do something. And they have literally said, I need to remodel. I even had somebody come into our environment and walk through it and look at it. And they said, well, we'll get you a plan and we'll get you a breakdown. And while they were here, and they may have been lying to me, they said, I'm really excited to take on this project. Like, this looks awesome. Like, I can see what you guys have a vision of here. And then 30 days passes between that moment and actually getting me my bid of what this is going to take. It took me following up numerous times going, hey, like, do you have the numbers yet? Like, did we fall off your calendar? Like, how do we get going on this? And then finally I got the numbers back and they weren't even the right numbers. There was projects left off. There was things missing because this is what happens after 30 days when you forget what you actually talked about with people. And so all of a sudden, Sarah and I are like, yeah, whatever. Like, I have other things I need to work on. It was so frustrating when I got the bid back because all I wanted to do was go, let's do it. Make it happen. Like, let's move forward right now. Now I'm back to square one. I called another builder was it 2 weeks ago? He's a gentleman that daughter was on my daughter's soccer team, and called him up because I ran into him in the grocery store and I said, how's business right now? Because I always want to know how people's business is doing. And he said, it's slow. Last time I talked to him, he was like, I'm busier than I've ever been. We're primarily building new houses. We're not building a whole lot of new houses right now in Redding, California. I kind of knew he was going to be slow even before I asked, because I had a little bit of a loaded question of like, do you want to take on a remodel project right now? I called him about a week after our conversation. I said, hey, after talking to you, I would love to know if you would want to do this. He says, I would love to do it. He says, can you call me next week and we'll get some times on the calendar to set this up. Yeah, I guess I'll call you next week and we'll get some time set up. Like, part of me's going like, do you even want this again? And second is that this fire is dying out again. He's got me at this hot moment where I'm saying, dude, I called you. I want to do this project. His best answer would have been, here's my dates and availability for next week. Let's get something on the calendar, because I've never called him back. And the reason I haven't called him back is because my fire is dying out again, and it's going to have to wait a while to get relit.
That's exactly what realtors do. They'll say, hey, I'm interested in doing something, not really sure on my timeline and all that stuff. So like, where do we go from here? And a lot of realtors will say, yeah, well, just call me when you're ready. Right. And it's like, oh, dude, don't let that happen.
Ready.
Yeah.
Right now. Ready. Like here.
And it doesn't mean that you're going to go buy a house tomorrow. It could, right? But this is the opportunity to set the expectation, even if your buddy, I'm calling him your buddy as if you guys are friends, but
he's a friend. He's a nice guy. We don't go hang out on the weekends, but like he's a guy that when we see each other, he will go out of his way and I will go out of my way to stop and talk.
Right. If he was like, hey, you know what, Garrett, let me check my calendar. I'll call you on Monday with some availabilities, right? And if he did that and said, hey, you know what, I'm booking about a month out, right? I mean, because letting the fire die doesn't have to do with the timeline really either. It just has to do with who's controlling that fire, right? And who's controlling keeping it managed and looking nice, and the flames kind of just like coming up and keeping everybody all nice and comfortable and all that kind of thing, where he could just keep you comfortable along the way. Say, okay, here's this. Let's sit down. Let's talk about this. In about a month, we'll do this. That's actually what our contractor did, who's doing all of our trim work in our house. Like, he was kind of like, yep, it's going to be like this, and we're going to be about 6 weeks until we can get started and all. I was like, okay, cool. We knew what to expect, and that made it easy.
Here's the other part. If you take the time, like my contractor could have easily done and said, what is it that you and Sarah are trying to accomplish here? I would let him know. We've wanted to remodel this kitchen since the minute we moved into this house. We've just been living in it. We've been living in this house is what we've been doing. What would it mean for you to have a remodeled kitchen right now? Well, it would mean that we're remodeling a house before we have to move. I want to live in this remodeled kitchen. I want to enjoy it. It also is going to let us experience this house in a different way. There's views and stuff because we want to add in a window. There's things that will improve the enjoyment of this house more so than just even the usability of it. Like, there's so much excitement around what this thing is going to be when we get a chance to get it done, that if any of these people would have taken the time to say, let me learn a little bit about what this means, in the time that it would take from them to actually take action on it, as you said, it might take a month. But knowing that and being able to talk to me about, oh my gosh, I can see what you mean by how this is going to be such an amazing place to call home and enjoy and live in once you guys get this done. And get into the excitement with us, they can keep that fire stoked. It's like throwing little new logs on the fire all the time, which when you keep that excitement going, all of a sudden, I'm still hot to trot. If you lose that fire, almost impossible to get it back. And that's where the sad part is like, I'm in a position where if he were to call me in 2 weeks and say, hey, Garrett, we never got a chance to talk, I'm going to be in that position of, let me talk to Sarah. We'll see what we can do to find time.
See where we're at.
And he's going to go, Garrett wasn't really even serious about remodeling his kitchen to begin with.
Ugh. And now everybody's confused, right? And I mean, one of the keys you mentioned there is asking questions, right? And so, and this is when it comes to potential people, these people that we actually throw on our warm list, which probably should be more hot and confused because they've raised their hand and said, I want to do something. And this is, you said this is the difference between people having a successful year and those not. I also think this is the difference between people who have business purposefully lined up for 2024. I was talking to an agent yesterday. He's like, yeah, I got about 6 or 7 listings like ready to go for next year, like probably February, March-ish timeframe. I'm like, oh, really? Tell me more about that. It's like, well, we had consultations. We talked about questions. We set expectations. We signed exclusive agreements. We have photography, potentially getting scheduled where we know when we're going to revisit what needs to be done to have the house prepared. I'm like, oh, so it sounds like you have a plan with them, right? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And whereas other people will be like, oh, you're waiting until spring. Great. Let's talk in February, right? Whereas he went the extra mile to get a whole plan in motion, which for those sellers is going to be fantastic, because when that time comes around and they're stressed about whatever else is currently going on in their world, they just go and call Jordan and say, hey, what's the next step?
Yep.
Or he'll probably call them and tell them what the next step is, which is an incredible thing. And so the opportunity for agents is to, when these things happen, start asking questions. They're coming to you saying, and this could work for, I've always wanted an investment property, right? This happens all the time, right? And a lot of agents will be like, oh, seen plenty of those people. Yeah, I know. And there's a lot of people who maybe aren't ready because they're not educated. But what if you help walk them through that process so that over the next year, they are educated, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, you know what? I saved up that down payment. I've gotten the HELOC. I've gotten the pre-approval. And, I'm comfortable now with the 8.5 or whatever it is from an investment standpoint. Let's go. Versus a year later being, it'd still be great to buy that investment property. I mean, the opportunity is massive for agents to ask questions, dive deep, and educate people.
Well, and that element too, that so many people are afraid of acting salesy and acting too aggressive. It's really hard to do that when you're genuinely intrigued and you want to ask more questions. When someone says, I want to invest, and you kind of get that sense of they're not really ready to go. Well, you can sit there and say, do you want to get in the car tomorrow? You want to come by for a consultation? I mean, you could do that aggressively, but at the end of the day, it's like, what are you trying to accomplish? Like, you say you want to invest, like, what is the bigger picture of what you want that to look like? In 5 years, do you want to have like an investment property, or do you want to have like a fleet of investment properties? Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking to retire, to fund your retirement? Are you looking for a little extra cash flow? Are you looking for and if you were doing it for a retirement, have you planned out what you want that to look like? All these questions, when somebody has led into it, if they're looking to buy an investment property, they may have the answer of, well, I've never thought about that yet. Like, I've never even considered that. Or they might go, I actually want to have 10 properties in the next 5 years. And you go, great. Do you have a plan to accomplish that, to buy those 10 properties in the next 5 years? Well, I don't have one set yet, but I'm going to need help with that. Great. Can I help you with that? Like, it's not aggressive. You're just asking more questions down the pipeline here.
It totally is.
And again, I think we give too much room in a confusing situation right now, that we think that they know the answers. We think that they know what the next steps are. And you will learn everything by asking more questions. The minute you start asking more questions, you'll be like, oh, that's where the confusion lies. Here they have this grand plan. Have you actually talked to a lender to see what you might qualify for to get started? Well, no, we've never done that. Well, would you like me to set you up with a lender so you can talk to somebody and get an idea of what that looks like? Well, that would be great.
Yeah. And if they don't take action on this stuff, like, okay, fine. That's on them. That's not on you at that point. And I look at this too, Garrett, is so many people look at this as, and I think this is where the salesy thing comes in, is like, I'm trying to transact. I'm trying to get business from these people. And that's really the wrong mindset. And I think if you're going at it with that mindset, it is going to feel salesy. It's like calling that person who attended your open house in April and saying, hey, Garrett, it's Matt. Remember we met at that open house like 7 months ago? Are you still interested in that house? It's sold, but I'm just curious because I don't have another question to ask you. So I'm just asking you if you're still interested in that house. We're ready to buy it. That is going to be salesy. Whereas if I have, and I prepared a process of, Garrett, I remember him saying he was looking for his first home. Over those 7 months, I could be sharing information with Garrett, helping him understand what it's like to buy real estate in South Carolina, helping him understand how do you navigate all these headlines? What's the appropriate amount of down payment? When's the right time to connect with a lender? And I could share this by calling you and asking you more questions, or via email or via snail mail. There's so many things we can do. And this is educating your target consumer, because these people have said, I want to do something, so that when they are ready to go, they're prepared, versus you just starting over. I mean, and that's if they come back to you at that point anyway, right? And this works with people in your sphere too, right? The open house is one example, but this can work with your next door neighbor. This can work with a family member or a best friend who says something. And if you start educating them along the path, then they're going to be so much better prepared so that when you sit down for that consultation, then we're going to look at homes, or we're then ready to list the house versus, oh, wait, we have to start all over.
Well, and somewhere, and this is what I found that's really fun, Matt, with helping people kind of grow down these paths. At some point, when you find out what they're really confused about, what's stopping them from taking that next step, all of a sudden it's like a light bulb goes on. It's just like this, like, oh, that's what we're doing. That's how we're going to do this. I'm going to go back here to when we had our pool put in. I hit roadblock and roadblock and roadblock. As some of you may have heard the story, but I initially wanted to build my own shipping container pool. I was all ready to do it. I had sourced the shipping container. I know how to weld. I know how to use a cutoff wheel. I was all in, had drawn up my own little plans of what this was going to look like. And the city shut me down right and left and right and left and basically said, you can give up on your dream because this is never going to happen. At which moment I had this little light bulb that went off, which was, I just need to apply for an above ground pool permit. That's all I need to apply for. And it was interesting. The minute that I had that little moment of clarity, all of a sudden, boom, full action started to swing in a different direction that I was not initially planning on. Because all of a sudden I realized that I could have a pool professionally built. I could have it shipped down. And guess what? Above ground pool permit totally qualifies to make this happen. And I think this is one of those interesting things. It's like when you find clarity, action can happen really fast. You can be frozen, where everybody's like, weren't you going to put a pool in? I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm doing it. It's going to take place. And then all of a sudden there's a truck pulling in the yard with a crane showing up and they're like, dude, it's happening. And it's like, there's that moment of clarity that you figured out how to make it work. And the reason I'm sharing this is, again, we have a lot of people out here right now that have a dream, they have an idea, they have a thought, but there are things that they don't know how to get past. Now, I figured out my problem on my own in the moment. It might have happened a lot sooner if I had somebody that was like, oh, I've done stuff like this before. Here's actually what you have to do. This is how you have to approach it. I've actually trained a lot of people in my town who have said, you're the guy. I actually had a guy come to my house the other day, Matt. He's like, you're the guy with the shipping container pool, right? I said, yes. I'm like one of one in town. I think there's one other one that some guy came to me, but he's like, how did you do it? And my answer was, you need to go apply for an above ground pool permit is what you need to do. Like, that's how you get started. And like, when you're somebody who can guide somebody with a dream, with ideas, and that's what all of you are these incredible guides with this incredible knowledge of how you get from point A to point B. You got a whole team of people behind you, contractors, plumbers. You can make things happen for people that they're like, well, how do we start on that? Here's how you start. If you want to do it, I can facilitate that and help that get going. You can make these dreams come to life, but if they can't see the clear path, they just put that fire out. It just sits there. No more logs are being put on it. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller in this little puff of smoke. And it's like,
yeah,
remember when we were going to do that? Yeah, we could have done it.
And this happens so much with real estate too, because particularly the dream stuff. And, people are like, well, the warm list is about pain and pleasure. And, people are going to have life change. So the people are going to come to me. Yeah, there will be. But there's so many people who have a desire to have a different home, a different neighborhood, a different lifestyle, whatever it might be. And a lot of times they just accept the kitchen for how it is because they're like, you know what? We got other stuff. We really want to have this kitchen that has this awesome view and an oven where we can cook a Thanksgiving turkey in it.
It's incredible. It's a way overlooked item of a kitchen.
But we also are running a business and we're managing getting, 2 kids off to college. And we have parents that live not too far away so we can go enjoy time there. And there's just so many other things that we can do other than pay attention to this kitchen right now. And people do that with their home.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you know what? We just don't have the time. I got this and we got that. We don't have really time to think about moving to that other school district right now. And that happens when they're like, there's no one to help me. I'm not ready to go by myself and do this alone. And since there's no one to help me, I'm just going to stay where I am.
Yep.
Don't let that happen.
So Matt, and you'd mentioned something here a second ago about, lifestyle.
Yeah.
Can kind of get in the way in changing your lifestyle for the future, a dream that you might have. we lightly talked about this beforehand as like, areas that we see this happen in other places where they have these people that have this incredible fire lit, and some of them keep that fire lit. Some of them let that fire die out. And we watch it around people that take any sort of classes. We see it a lot at the installation.
Yeah.
There's lots of educational things that you've gone to, any of our listeners have gone to over the years where you've walked away going, oh my gosh, like this is incredible. I want to take action with this. I want to make this part of my life moving forward, whether it's an investment strategy class you went to. I know a lot of people went to Wake Up Money when we used to do Wake Up Money classes. And I hope those come back around at some point here, where they have this dream of their retirement fund and, paying for kids' college with buying investment properties. And then all of a sudden the kids are getting older and they never really did it and they never really took action with it. The installation itself, we see a lot of people that have a dream and a picture of what this business could mean and how they could run their real estate and how they could get control of their time. And it's like they get back and the life kind of takes over.
They write notes for like 2 days and it's like, the
world kind of takes over. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh gosh, like I got to get that fire back lit again. And there's a lot of people that come back and they'll team up with others in the office and they're like, you're the group. We're going to work together here and we're going to keep this fire lit. We're going to meet every week and we're going to share what our journey is and we're going to hold each other to the highest level. And some of those people will do that forever. Like that is their way to go and build what they want to build. Some people hire coaches. Some people find other ways to build in people into their world to say, how are we going to keep this fire lit? But we watch it happen there all the time. This is not just real estate. At the same point, we want to tie it back to this is where a lot of people that need help in business and in your business, what you could grow right now is hidden in and why it may not be coming to life or fruition. But this happens in all aspects of life. And so instead of you being salesy, understand what's really going on behind the scenes.
And I think that highlights the opportunity of just increasing your conversations with anyone. If you're talking to someone and they don't have a fire lit about real estate, but your neighbor comes to you with this awesome business idea. Like, I got this new idea for this new business. Now, it may not be your expertise or, your desire to like go help them build that business. But boy, you could certainly talk to him about that, right? You can have great conversation. You can be somebody in their world who's like, oh man, Garrett always listens to me about these ideas. He's always supportive. He always gives me honest feedback. I have a buddy who texts me business ideas all the time. He's like, hey, what do you think about this? He's like, I'm going to start this custom knitting service or whatever. And it wasn't going to do that. But I'm like, okay, cool. Like, tell me about it. Like, why are you passionate about this? How would you want to start this? All that. He sent me bottle openers the other day. He's like, hey, I'm going to make these really cool bottle openers. What do you think about these? I'm like, they look cool. How are you going to market them? And we have conversations, and you can be that person in somebody's world and to keep their fire alive, which then will come back and serve you on the real estate side at some point, because they're going to be like, man, Garrett's always there for me. I might as well ask him about real estate. That's his expertise. I know I always throw these other things at him, but I know he's an expert at, right? And, if you're having trouble keeping your own fire alive too, Garrett, I think we mentioned coming back from the installation, like that, I see that all the time for like about a few days a week. Sometimes people just, it's like, man, talk to your manager, talk to your fellow agents, see how you can keep that fire alive for each other. If you're the person that helps keep it alive for somebody else, they'll probably keep it alive for you too.
So here's the important thing, Matt. I think we can probably wrap this thing up here around this, but I think the really important thing is it's hard to keep a fire lit by yourself.
Yes.
You need people around you that are excited about the direction and the path of what's going on. There's a handful of people out there that can have a dream and have a passion on their own, all by themselves, and just keep on going with it and just keep on pushing. I look at like the cars that I've built. If I didn't have a dream of the current project car that I'm working on, which is an 83 Mustang, and it's absolutely wonderful if anybody's curious. The most fun part about that project is the 4 guys that I race with and sending pictures all the time and being able to share and like, them asking me questions. What are you working on today? What project do you have going on? Are you working on the engine or are you working on the car today? And having that group of energy around it makes it really fun to move forward with that project. Having dates of future races out there that we're all like, are we going to have it ready for that race? What does that look like? What do you need? Are there parts you need to order? Like, we're all in trying to get this thing going in that direction. When you bring in a trusted person for a construction project, if I had somebody that was on my team like that, excited about where we're going, what this is going to be, what it's going to look like, it happens so much faster. It's easier to take forward momentum. If you want to build a ninja business, having somebody in your world that's going, what have you been working on this week? How's it going? Are you on track to that dream you want to get to? Are we going to be able to celebrate at the end of this year about this? That team element keeps that energy going all the time. And I think that that's what we need to look at, is that as a real estate agent, this is your role for your people. It's not just helping them do transactions and be like, good, got another one. Good, got another one. You are this person, just like my racing buddies who are like, where are we at? Okay, what are we working on here? Like, what do we need? Oh, you need to go talk to a lender. Okay, we need to talk to, you want to do these investments, but you wanted to get remodel ones. Have you have a good contractor in place that when we find one of these properties, we can have them come in and really estimate what this project's going to be and what we're looking at here, so we can write an offer that's reasonable. Like, what are we trying to do? And get excited with them about where they're going. And there's so much opportunity in this marketplace. I am watching people do incredible amounts of business out here. At the same time, Matt, we're watching people that are absolutely dying in real estate right now.
Yeah.
I hear stories of agents of, and I don't want to get in too much detail here, but when I hear stories of 100-person office, and they're talking about they're hoping to get to maybe 90 sides by the end of the year for an office total. Oh my gosh. Like, there's a lot of people that aren't making any money right now. The business is there, but they need somebody to dream with. They need someone to help them see through the other side, clear the air a little bit so they can get through the confusion.
Yeah, you can't just wait for it to show up. This is part of how you help people achieve things, which then allows you to bring the business to you. You have to go out there and have these conversations, ask these questions, help people find a path to get on, and then be the one that walks it with them. So, well, Garrett, I appreciate you bringing this topic, man. I love it. I think it's good. It's timely too, as we're going through business planning here, which if the date this episode goes live, I believe we'll be right in the heart of it, right? With our coaching program, we do these 3 sessions, detailed, breaking that business planning up if you're involved with coaching. So if you've ever thought about coaching, could be a good time to hop on in. You can find information about that at ninjaselling.com. Hit the coaching button at the top there. And we'd be more than happy to connect you with one of the amazing coaches that exist in the ninja coaching arena, where Garrett and I spend pretty much the majority of our time when we're not doing podcasting. And there's also Larry Kendall's business planning workshop, which is a 3-hour webinar, the roadmap workshop, help you build a roadmap for 2024. You can find information about that at ninjaselling.com. And if you've gone through an installation, you're an installation graduate, starting, I want to say today, is the business strategies mastery. So if you're listening to this in the morning, there's probably maybe still time for you to hop in there.
Sign up.
So
it's happening right now.
Anyway, you can find information about that at ninjaselling.com as well. So
yep.
Appreciate you guys so much. Oh, and our Facebook group. We haven't even mentioned that. Join our Facebook group, which is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, what an amazing community. If you want a community that'll keep your fire lit, it is that community there. Just go over to Facebook, search for the Ninja Selling Podcast. You will find it. And just always keep your ears tuned in here. We appreciate you guys a whole lot. So thank you, Garrett. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
If you enjoyed today's episode and would like more, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com.
There you will also find links for more information about ninja selling and coaching. Have an incredible day.